Thanks,
I should.
Apinder. This is our fourth episode. So exciting, so excited. So thank you so much for joining in again. Today's episode, digital transformation, more than just a buzzword, or is it? So this is where we kind of talk about the organization. Is it truly transforming, or are we just updating an email signature? So let's get into it. So our first question today, how do you define real digital transformation?
When people talk about digital transformation, it often sounds like tech buzzword. But in reality, it's way more human than we give it credit for. To me, real digital transformation is when technology becomes the driver of mindset and cultural change, not just a shiny new tool being plugged in the old ways of working. If I am speaking to executives, I'd say it's not just launching platforms, or it's or just launching some great fancy tools or something. It's about enabling smarter decision making and aligning people together, aligning the processes, tech, change, and together as an organization to move with clarity and purpose. So for portfolio managers like me who've led pretty tough programs, it's about evolving from chasing deadlines to delivering some real adaptive value. It's when team shifts the focus from outputs to outcomes. That's when the real transformation begins, and it feels real to the organization and the teams involved together. Even for agile teams, it's more about just following a framework. Rather than that, I will make people and teams feel more empowered, trusted, and equipped to navigate that change. And that's where the true magic should begin.
Sure.
So, I'll share an example of my own transformation. In one of my recent transformation engagements, we've helped an organization shift from reactive waterfall heavy setup to a more agile, outcome driven model. It was just about, it wasn't just about new tools, like I said before. It was about rethinking the governance, redefining the success metrics, and giving teams room to breathe and own that change. That's when the momentum kicked in, and that really felt like a real digital transformation too.
Fair enough. So I'm going off record, but I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any feedback for those organizations that don't want to ruffle feathers? So the leaders that don't want to ruffle feathers, they want to maintain excellent relationships. They want to avoid conflict, things like that. Do you think that those organizations can truly undergo transformations, whether that's digital, whatever it looks like? So, what are your thoughts there?
So, digital transformation isn't just as I've said it in my various sessions when I take sessions for enterprise agility. Also, there's going agile is not enterprise agility. Like you were saying, it's about bringing the enterprise agility in your organization. That's kind of another transformation you have to do. And it's neither a top bottom approach nor a bottom up approach. It's about creating the success together, driving the outcomes together. And it can be done through various outcome driven models like OKRs. Or if it's not just, if you don't want to just go by OKRs, you can also have a KPI and OKR infused model, kind of things. So, like you said, it's if portfolios become rigid, or the leadership becomes rigid, I don't think they can ever transform. So it's all about building that enterprise agility into the organization, and it cannot be done in one day. It takes time. It's about involving the change management, doing the change management stuff. It's not just for the sake of saying you have a change management group, the change agents have to be part of your teams. Maybe each department should have a change agent. He's also doing some other work in that particular digital transformation, but he should also act as a change agent, which brings in confidence with the team and help them align together to achieve that particular outcome. So that's my thoughts on it.
Thank you so much. So, why do most digital transformation projects still fail even today?
I think one, scaled agile. I think Forbes or Scaled Agile also talked about it in one of their sessions where they say, they're not able to. They are, organizations are not able to deliver value because of which they fail. I totally align with that. So we are not able to really understand what outcomes we are thinking of, what value we are bringing, and how we're going to drive it together. So that's where we still fail. And people specifically with organizations who have been doing so many digital transformations year after year, or maybe after 2 years or so, every 2 years or so, they think that they've learned all the lessons and they know how to carry forward this digital transformation. But it's not about having sticking to one tool or something. So it's more than that. So I think I can give you some common reasons of why. I'll go step by step. Maybe it gives more clearer answer to our audience. They, first of all, I think most organizations start with what tool should we buy, instead of really thinking about what problem are we solving. So a lot of teams jump straight into buying software or platforms without really understanding the root cause or the root issue, what they're addressing. So even when the tech teams are in place, nothing really changes because the habits, the workflows, the decision making stays the same. That is one part of it. The second is the leaders often overlook the hard culture change, which is really important for any organization. And it's easy to launch a new tool. However, it's very hard to get people to work differently. So, making them trust the process and measure success in new ways is something we need to work on. And it takes time. So, when culture is treated as a side note, people resist and the momentum dies within the teams. The third would be teams getting burned out, waiting for results. These big organizations usually have their 12 to 18-month transformation plans set up. But on ground, people need quick wins to stay engaged with that. Otherwise, they start thinking, okay, next few weeks, next few months, okay, another big project it is. Okay, so that kind of they lose the momentum. Fourth would be we keep measuring new ways of working with old success metrics. Like I talked about KPIs, KPIs or setting OKRs. We really do not think more on that. We are running behind the timelines and budgets. So it becomes very hard for teams to try new things or take smart risks while sticking with these old success metrics, which are, not letting them drive the value they can drive for a particular organization. Fifth, and the last is we ignore talent and capacity. So I've seen companies approve huge budgets for these enterprise transformation efforts and these new tools, which needs to be set up in days or months, but they leave the training and team support as phase 2, phase 3 part. By that time, the phase 2, phase 3 comes, the there is already a gap in the skills and a bandwidth that has already caused delays. So one quick story I like to share in my recent project, we rolled out adaptive portfolio approach, small pilots, fast feedback, and regular check-ins. So within 3 weeks, one of the pilots showed a clear spike in customer adoption. That one result shifted everything. You know, leaders got excited, teams leaned in, and suddenly it wasn't why are we doing this kind of a scenario. It was like how fast can we scale it to other portfolios. So to me, the most digital transformations fail because we treat them like usual tech upgrades. Not we don't treat them like behavior shifts or culture shifts. It's very important to focus on culture, show results early, and let technology support the change, not drive it. That's when, things really start to work. So, to summarize, for me, a real transformation only works when tech, culture, and people evolve together, not in silos.
Fair enough. So let me ask you this. If you had a magical wand and you could go back and redo that pilot effort, what recommendations would you put in place to ensure you're not moving too fast? Are there any recommendations that you would have put in place for a different change?
Yes. So I always talk about it in some of my sessions. Always try to read the energy first, the study the current culture, study the outcomes that the leadership really wants you to work on, how much more value you can bring in, and then try to create a package out of it. What can be done in the current existing version, rather than saying, okay, that's okay, bring in some new tool, maybe a business intelligence tool. It'll start generating the reports, it'll start generating XYZ, and things will become easy. And anyways, it's going to benefit us, so we're going to do it. That is not real transformation. It is about understanding the current scenario, aligning people, culture, tools, outcomes, and what more value you can bring to the customer or the client, everything together, and then planning it out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
So, what's one low budget thing organizations can do today to start transforming?
I think start by listening intentionally and consistently. So, I don't mean by listening consistently and intentionally, I don't mean sending out another survey with 10 different questions or maybe 50 questions. I mean sitting down with teams and across functions. It's not just your own team, across functions who are going to be involved in that. Sitting down with them and asking questions, simple questions like, what's getting in your way? Where are we wasting time? What feels harder than it should? So you'll be surprised to get so much clarity from them and then when you learn about the blockers, you'll be able to understand that it's not just tech that is causing it. It's not technical problems or the tech teams or not just the ITs involved in it. It's all about misaligned priorities, unclear decision making, or just clunky handoffs between the teams or the departments. you know and you don't need to and you don't need a very huge budget to fix all those things. You just need awareness and the will to act right. In one organization I worked with, I remember all it took was a series of open conversations between the product, tech, and ops team there. So no tools, no fancy dashboards, just cross functional visibility. And once people understood each other's pain point, across the departments that were involved, they automatically started adjusting how they work together. And they themselves fixed the timeline issues and the sequence of working, and the project plan was, built. The execution part was so smoother, and it also became easier for the portfolio managers to revisit the priorities based on what value they are bringing, how is it aligned to the outcomes. And that was the spark that kicked off the entire transformation. So if you are looking for a starting point, do not over engineer it. Start with real talk across the teams. Transformation doesn't begin with the software. It starts with shared understanding across.
To those leaders to say, yeah, I hear you. I don't have time for that. What would you say? That's going to take 6 weeks, 8 weeks. What do you say to those leaders?
So, usually maybe some organizations, they are mid-sized organizations and they are not ready to hear because they're just focused. When you talk about outcome driven models, so they will answer you, this is our outcome because we want the revenue. So it's very important for us to make them understand that while you're targeting, the main target is revenue, but how will you hit that? That's where OKRs also come in. Your main objective is something. Then how you align those with key results. If your main objective is maybe, I always tell this example, saving whatever or increasing your revenue, what is your first key result? How will you drive that? Maybe you launch that product in 5 different states. That would be one. Second would be, make your website so robust, so do some digital marketing and do something that the reach is global. Just an example. I could be wrong here because I'm not thinking through it, but I'm just giving an example, those kind of examples. Mm-hmm. So you need to you need to explain them the key results that will drive that outcome. Once you're able to convince them with those key results, I think they will still resist, but they'll give you some time, maybe a quarter. They'll wait for a quarter. And then when you design the key results, it's very important, put the timelines there. And be very specific because they will be citing out when this fails, and we point out the person that it failed. Yep. So point out key buffers in your key results, but be very specific in your key results while defining it. And then another thing, how it flows down is aligning different departments and building one cross-functional team and setting up KPIs for each department so that you can regularly measure it. That's an outcome-driven model that usually I talk about and I present in some of my sessions. But, it really helps us.
That's fair. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So this is a fun, real talk question. Have you ever survived a transformation that was really just a new email signature?
Oh, absolutely. I survived.
I can tell. More than tell by the eyes.
Yeah. So I've survived that more than once, I will say. The so-called transformations,
So right. Just the marketing effort, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. So it goes like, how it goes, big announcements, lots of buzz, and suddenly a shiny new tagline beneath your signatures and everyone's signatures, agile, innovative, bold, slammed into everyone's email footer, and then nothing really changes, Same silos, same bottlenecks, same burnouts. And honestly, most organizations, that say are going agile, they are not, they're really just applying it in silos. It's usually just restricted to IT teams or the tech teams who are running ceremonies like stand-ups, retros. But the rest of the organization is still operating with waterfall mindsets.
Correct.
So there's a big difference between doing agile and building enterprise agility. And seeing those shallow transformations play out over and over again is what pushed me to start Victero Consulting Services. Mm-hmm. So after 13 to 14 years of leading high-stakes projects across tech, education, e-commerce, and tech, I realized I didn't just want to keep dressing up change with buzzwords. I wanted to help organizations make real progress. The kind where teams aren't just talking about transformation, they are living it day in, day out without burning out. So I've seen it happen in organizations where I've worked, in fact, I'll say I've worked with organizations where we didn't make it a big show. We didn't make a big show out of it. No loud branding, no, we are transforming type campaigns, just thoughtful collaboration, smarter decisions, and real alignment across teams. And I think I've shared some of my examples in some of my sessions. So you could relate to what I'm talking about. So now, when I work with organizations, I just ask three simple questions. Are we shifting how people approach problems and make decisions? Second, are we changing how teams collaborate and communicate? Third, are we delivering value in ways that are faster, clearer, and more adaptive? The motive was to tell, like, that's what pushed me through, because creating that kind of hype I've seen, and I've worked with organizations where I just worked in a layman. I didn't even know what transformation was at that time, but we made it happen. And then, the second instant we're going to do the transformation that we did before. I said, which transformation? So,
yeah. And so it's so funny. I've seen that happen when I worked for a bank.
Yeah.
Particular bank, they went through an mergers and acquisition. So they went through changing letterheads. We went through all of these changes, and still was confused at the end.
Like I said, people don't understand what is agile, what is doing agile, and what is enterprise agility. They'll say we're agile, but they're not. They're just doing the ceremonies and just, doing the usual daily stand-ups, all the ceremonies kind of thing, but they don't understand the difference behind it. What are self-organizing teams?
Correct. So, and the backlogs are usually, I've seen backlogs an absolute chaotic mess because they
and they don't even know how to prioritize a backlog.
Correct. That is the problem.
So if you don't know a simple thing like prioritizing a backlog, how can you think someone prioritizing the portfolio priorities?
Correct. And that was a mess too. So I've seen them all, but there are different organization types. You have some that believe that they're doing, agile. They're mainly waterfall. No one speaks to each other. So, we can go on, but absolutely true. Correct.
And that's where, I started to learn, like, but how can I control it? I started learning about OKRs and everything. And then again, it got into where they already follow the OKR model. So I learned more. And then we started establishing a PMO, enterprise PMO, I told you. And then I got into, okay, this is change management. That's how I grew, it's not just saying it. I grew, I learned, I felt it. I was part of it. I learned it and I grew.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. So you made some change within the organization, but the good thing is that they were open to that change, right? So that's the huge thing there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on.
In the transformation, they weren't open. They really weren't open at that time because there were people sitting seniors from there, specifically the application managers who were there, and they were so used to their old ways of working. But then we did it. That's where I talk about some organizations where they don't create a hype, but we did everything.
So, and just creating change in those organizations. I mean, I know it takes forever, especially with those lifers that I've mentioned, people that have been there forever. So, all right. So let me move on. So how do you spot a fake digital transformation from a mile away? What are some things that you...
Okay, so now after so many years, I can spot a digital transformation from a mile away. So honestly, it usually announces itself loud and proud. So you'll hear a lot of buzzwords flying around, we're going agile, AI powered, cloud first strategy. But when you look under the hood, nothing meaningful has changed. The org structure is same. The decision making still takes forever. the teams are burned out, and the metrics they're chasing are damn old. So, still focused on outputs, not on outcomes, I'll say. The biggest red flag you see is when transformations are being talked about more than it's being lived. So you see the posters, the internal branding, the fancy town halls. But if you ask the teams who are doing the work, they're confused, overworked, or, just quietly waiting for the hype to fade. Another big thing that I've observed is when only IT is transforming. Like, cool, we've got Jira stand-ups now, so we are agile. But they do not think about business side, how it's involved, and those simple things will take 6 layers of approval to make that simple change.
Right.
So that's not transformation. That's a digital theater for me.
Correct. And they don't even, some of these organizations I've seen, they don't even engage the business. It is all technology.
Yes.
So
yes, that's not a transformation. That's just a digital theater, I said. So real transformation is,
That's a nice word.
Yeah. I call it a digital theater usually.
So you're just sitting back with popcorn, just watching this thing go down.
What's happening. Yeah. Just watching all the hype happening. Okay, now this one. Okay, put to the signatures. Oh, wow. New branding out. Instagram post. LinkedIn post and video created and all those. But what is happening on ground, I know. So
correct. Yeah.
So all those kind of things. So, first of all, I always feel real transformation is quiet at first. The results show for itself. It's very messy. When it starts, it's very messy. It challenges how people lead, collaborate, and deliver value. But it's also energizing because teams start feeling the change before it even makes to a slide deck, because they're feeling it, they're living it. They may get uncomfortable at first, but gradually recognizing small wins, making them feel valued for the amazing change and the efforts that they are putting in, and telling them the bigger picture, like how it's aligning with the outcomes that making a real difference. That really helps. So if it looks polished, but the portfolio and teams are still unclear, that's your sign.
Thank you.
So it sounds, and also another thing, if it still sounds impressive, but teams are confused, like I said before, that's another sign. So I always say, a real transformation speaks for itself. You don't have to brand it to prove it's working. The results will show.
The confusion part, hits home. So definitely understand.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the most important first step companies skip when trying to transform? I think you alluded to it before. Just example, product selection. They're in a huddle, but any recommendations, anything that comes to mind for this question?
Yes. So 2 things are very important. Like I said, I have mentioned in my talks before, but I'll just, give a detailed version of how I want to align it to this question. 2 things, as I said. One is clarity, and an honest look at their current culture. Like I said, everyone is so eager to jump to action. Buy the tool, hire consultants, roll out the new framework, but they skip the foundational stuff. So clarity, when you try to get the clarity, what problem are you trying to solve? Like I said before, why are we transforming? Ask the why, what, 5 W's, which I talk about in my sessions. Why are we transforming? What problem are we solving? What does success actually look like? And how will we know if we are making progress? So without these clear answers, it turns into a lot of motion without meaning. Teams often feel overwhelmed, burnt out, and leaders just say one thing, but the execution tells the different story. Leaders are saying something, execution is telling a different story. It creates a lot of confusion and fatigue in the team. The second one would be culture. Like I said, companies rarely ask to pause. Is our current culture ready for this kind of change? Like you've been talking about. What if, people are not ready to approve the change or, change something? So is our current culture ready for this kind of change? That is something we need to analyze. Are they ready for the teams to experiment, collaborate, and move fast? Are they ready for that? That's very important. I've seen companies trying to implement agile or maybe AI driven initiatives in culture that are still micromanaged and still operate with fear that we need to have these 5 different approvals before we go ahead, because what if something comes on our name?
Correct.
So it doesn't work like that. The transformation like these get rejected like a bad organ transplant.
Mhm.
So before you dive into any major shift, take a beat, get clear on your goals, get real about the current environment. If you don't, no tool or methodology can save you, because you're asking people to change without giving them clarity or support to actually do it on ground.
That's fair. Thank you. A question: who should own digital transformation inside an organization?
$1 million question it is. And my honest answer, everyone and no one. So let me explain by what I mean by everyone and no one. Absolutely, there's a need of strong leadership and executive sponsorship, where someone from top has to create that space, approve that funding, and remove the roadblocks. But if digital transformation is only owned by the CTOs or CIOs or just the digital team or some transformation office, it becomes siloed. So everyone else treats it like their project, not our future. So there's a big reason why so many efforts stall. Real transformation needs shared ownership. In all my answers before, I've highlighted again and again, it's a collaborative effort. You need to create success together. So leadership has to model the change. Middle management has to carry it forward, and the teams on ground need to be part of it, part of shaping it, not just trained on it. So, in one of my best transformations I was part of, the executives weren't just approving the budgets, they were sitting in backlog reviews as well, asking questions and showing up. So, it was product, tech, operations, everyone had a similar kind of stake in the outcomes. That's when it felt real. So, yes, someone needs to be accountable, maybe a chief transformation officer or maybe a cross functional steering group. But if culture doesn't support shared ownership across functions, it's going to be just another initiative people wait out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
bottom line, digital transformations works best when it's not owned like a project. It's adapted mindset across the board.
Yeah. So I've seen steering committees, so that's an excellent way to pull folks in, making sure that folks
Yes.
are, we're covering all bases. So
Right.
thank you for that. So how do you handle transformation fatigue amongst employees?
Yeah, the transformation fatigue is very real. I've seen it very closely. And honestly, it's not that people resist change, it's that they're tired of change that feels pointless. So, you know how it goes. New initiative every quarter, new buzzwords, new tools, new leadership priorities, but nothing ever sticks long enough to see the results for the team. People are exhausted, not just from the work, but from that whiplash.
Yeah.
So, how do I handle it? First, I acknowledge it. You can't push forward if people are silently burned out. I always make space for honest conversations, like what's working, what's not, what's draining you out, kind of retrospective in, monthly team meetings or otherwise, one-on-one with respective teams. Just giving people a voice in this process can shift the energy. Secondly, I slow things down to speed them up. Instead of, piling on more change, I look for small, meaningful wins, something that actually makes the life of teams easier, not harder. So even when people see even one thing get better, they believe it. Their trust starts rebuilding. So they start to believe, okay, maybe this change is a little different and it will work out. So, third, I reset the why. A lot of fatigue comes from not knowing the purpose behind the push. I've seen energy turn around fast when leaders connect with teams to give them a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Why we are doing this, what is it going to fix, what's in for them. So I usually organize small town halls every month or every 2 months where we invited leaders. There was the one welcome message from a leader, and then the leaders would come in and hear their problems, talk about it, what's big thing that's happening and how it's going to impact them, not just the business. So yeah. So last one, it's like we stop pretending that it's all perfect. Even in the town halls, when I had conversations with my leaders one-on-one, I used to say, let's not stop, because they know what's happening on the ground. So let's not say everything is perfect and just putting limelight on little things that are going well and just brushing other things under the carpet. Let's be real and stop pretending it's perfect. So we all know change is messy. People appreciate realness. When we stop sugarcoating everything and admit that, yes, this is hard and we are in it together. So it shifts the tone from resistance to resilience.
I think that's excellent.
Yeah, the transformation fatigue is very real, and it doesn't mean that people hate change. It's a sign they are craving clarity, purpose, and something that finally sticks.
I think that's excellent. Thank you so much. I think it's huge. We acknowledge it. I love that, to acknowledge it. And we don't want to run from it. We don't want to sugarcoat. We want to acknowledge it and be real about it. So having some real discussion.
Right.
So what's the weird or funny tech upgrade story that you'll never forget? I know we all have them, right?
Yeah. Yes. I've got one that still makes me laugh.
Yeah. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So a few years back, I was working with the company to help transform their manual product sales to a fully online, workflow through their e-commerce site. The platform was already up and running. Sales were coming in. The reporting was smooth, but honestly, the sales team was thrilled with new visibility and efficiency. So now we were to take some things a step further, where leadership decided to add an AI-powered chatbot to improve customer experience. Answer FAQs.
Oh my goodness.
Help with order tracking and returns that were coming in, all the good stuff that we have. AI chatbots were still very new at that time. I remember it was just like few topmost sites had that, and
Mhm.
it was but there was a lot of excitement that, okay, we are getting a chatbot, AI chatbot, and, a lot of enthusiasm within team and the pressure to go live fast from the leadership. So everything looked perfect in the demo. When the vendors gave the demo, everything looked perfect. The launch went out. So within a few hours, a customer typed in, "How do I return a changed item?" And the bot responded, "You won't believe."
My goodness.
I still remember, "I'm sorry, I didn't get that." As something, "Would you like to order a sandwich?"
God. Oh
So
my
no
God.
kidding. Yeah, so no kidding. Somehow the bot was still linked to a food ordering API from the vendor's sandbox environment during testing.
Oh,
So instead of answering return questions, it was suggesting burgers and wraps.
oh my goodness. So how did you
So,
handle that? Like, so what ended up
yeah,
happening?
so it was a very funny environment that time. The poor customer care was struggling and scrambling, and we couldn't stop laughing, saying, and we nicknamed that AI chat box as Lunchbot by the
Oh
end of
my
the
gosh.
day. So, but yes, it was solid learning for us. You can have a strong system, a successful transformation, even a great team. But if you skip the testing in the real context, in the real world environment, after the sandbox testing, you got to test the production environment before releasing it. Because of the pressure, no one thought of it. It was working fine in the sandbox model, and
Oh my
everyone thought
goodness.
it's perfect. Let's go live. And we did not test when it moved from the sandbox to the production environment. So that was a big learning for us. And it was way back, I think, in my early career. It was way
Mhm.
back in my early career when AI chatbots just started. So that did not go well. But sometimes I think it starts with a sandwich and then you
Yeah,
learn.
I think it's good. Yeah, I think that's good. This happened in production, right? And then you said
Yeah.
it's test. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's why we named it as a lunchbot.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The vendor really
So
had to
we had
offer
to
some
take off
discounts.
we had to take off. We just saw this for a day. In fact, it started, first thing came up in the afternoon somewhere, and by the end of the day, we were all laughing and something, but it was a critical environment. We stayed long there in the office. I remember that time, and then we just, we asked the website people to stop it for a day or two until we fix it. So website wasn't
Yeah.
running till then.
I would have
So
got free
yeah.
6 months. You
And we just
understand
said
from
that
the
it are
vendor.
technical errors, but
Yeah.
beneath we knew it's like, it's selling the sandwiches and the burgers.
Oh my goodness. How embarrassing. Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
hopefully the customer took it, they were
Thankfully, it
light
was a
about it.
small
Yeah.
organization and not much of orders
Yeah.
or something. But if
Yeah.
just imagine if it would have been Amazon or something.
Oh my goodness. Or a customer with a very demanding personality. So
Yeah.
thank God it was a smaller organization. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It was a very small sized organization. So everything went well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Apinder. This has been an
Same,
absolute pleasure. Thank you for giving
same
us
here.
just your take on digital transformation, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shanta.